is here. This webinar will be due to start in 2 minutes. We're just waiting for a few more attendees to join. Thank you. So hello everyone, and a warm welcome to this third webinar in a series of webinars that focuses on delivering and updating you on the new features and functionality that will be available to you and your organization in Oracle's latest release 20D. My name is Chris Gomez and I'm an account director here at Evasys. My focus is on demonstrating the value that our next generation managed services, as well as some of the other innovative Evasys technologies, has on achieving maximum business value on your Oracle Cloud applications. As we know, Oracle provide quarterly updates that are designed to continually drive operational excellence and enhance the user experience. So today I'm your host for this webinar, where I'm delighted to be joined again by my colleague Vishnupriya Narasimhan, who works in our ERP Centre of Excellence team and will be taking us through the talent management updates in 20D. So Priya has over 10 years experience across the entire HCM modules and is currently leading the managed services for HCM. And Priya will be taking us through the hot topics today and everything you need to know about the main features of this release. And there's a lot to cover in talent today. So whilst we're going to try and cover as much as we can during this webinar, we're not going to be able to cover every single feature. But we do have an extended PowerPoint that we're going to make available to you at the end of this session that does cover some more of those features. So by means of an agenda, over the next 50 minutes, we'd like to cover 3 main areas. Firstly, I'll talk a little bit about our approach to Oracle's updates before handing over to Priya, who will analyze the latest release, providing an insight into the new available features, as I've mentioned, as well as highlighting things to consider when deploying them. And this will also cover the known issues that need to be considered as well. And Priya will take us through that in around 35 to 40 minutes before I take you through our next generation managed services and our value-based analytics and how it can help you with these Oracle releases. We will leave time at the end to cover any questions, but please do ask questions throughout the webinar. There's a chat facility on your screen, and we've got a team of colleagues who will respond to each question as we progress through this webinar. So when we talk about an update, there are generally 4 categories of events that we must consider prior to deployment. So firstly comes the analysis, where we need to analyze and consider each of those options that are available in the releases and what we're going to roll out and the impact they have on the user experience and productivity. And secondly, we must then analyze and plan how we deploy the updates that we've decided as part of that analysis phase, whilst carrying out some sort of impact analysis on the business and specific to the business before deploying these updates. And then after planning comes everybody's favorite part in new releases, which is the user acceptance testing, to ensure that there are no fundamental impacts to the business once the features are deployed. And this actually is the most intensive stage of the 4-stage process and needs to be done methodically to ensure that there are no surprises. Then finally, it's about launching the release once you're happy that the tests have uncovered no showstoppers or serious headaches. So once I hand over to Priya, her focus will be on supporting the first stage of this process, and then later I will talk about how we can potentially help with the other 3 areas. So I just want to talk you through the structure of the new feature slides. Some of you may already be familiar with this, but please use this as a reminder whilst I take those that are not familiar with this through the actual format. So we include a feature name and a short description and business benefit on each of these slides, so that you can see the impact it may have on your organization with the outcomes it could give you. We then include a high-level impact analysis on the right with 4 main areas. We include the impact level that helps to gauge the amount of testing required, whether or not the feature needs to be enabled and configured, and also whether or not it's actually a quick win. And what we do is we take into account the level of effort and time required to get this feature set up. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a quick flavour for what to expect as Priya takes you through each of those features today. So before I hand over to Priya, I just wanted to run a very quick poll with you all, just so that we can get an idea of how you perceive these Oracle updates. So you should see on your screen just a very quick question with two options. So do you perceive Oracle's quarterly updates as an overhead, or do you see it as a value add? I'm just going to keep the poll open for 30 seconds, so please do answer. Okay, so I'm just going to close off the poll now. So thank you very much to everyone who's answered. I can share the results, and it's really good to see that actually, you know, the vast majority of you see it as a value add as opposed to an unnecessary overhead. And for those of you that feel it's an unnecessary overhead, do stay tuned at the end, as some of the services that we offer may be beneficial to you. So, Priya, I'm sure everyone is eagerly waiting to hear from you about this release. Can you tell us what to expect in Talent in 20D?
Thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning from wherever you've logged in. So I will be taking you through the talent features that's part of 20D. So the talent management as a whole has been divided into 3 modules. So one which talks about talent features, which is goal, performance, succession planning, and all the other advanced talent modules. The other one is Oracle Learning Cloud, and the third one is Oracle Recruiting Cloud. So as you see, we have a lot of features to cover. I just want to quickly start a poll to ask you what are the main modules that you're looking at. So whether it's talent, learn, or recruiting. So may I request Chris to quickly start the poll, please? Because we've got a lot of quick wins on these features. So please do choose what modules are your focus for today's session.
So thank you for everyone who's voting so far. I'll keep the poll again open for 30 seconds. Okay, so I can see many of you still voting. Thank you very much for that. So I'll be closing the poll off in 5 seconds now. Okay, so the results are in Priya, and you can see here that it's actually quite close.
Okay.
Okay.
So
back over to you.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So let's quickly move on here, not wasting time, on the statistics, onto the talent features, which are quick wins. So the first one is that randomized answer choices for a question in a questionnaire. So in the previous release, we also saw that we were able to randomize questions, but in this section, we can now also randomize answers. So for example, if you have a question that has got multiple correct answers and you have a score against that, you can now put them in random order when it's placed. So a question with multiple answers can have a different kind of a sequencing. So a very quick win, which is default. Moving on to the next one is again to check the person eligibility when you're doing a mass assignment. So again, this was a feature which was there against a particular single assignment, but we now have this for mass assigning of a development goal, where you can quickly check what are the eligibility factors against that particular person. So if somebody is not eligible, you immediately see what's the criteria of the ineligibility, and then you may decide to go ahead and choose that person for the mass assignment of development goal. The next one is on succession plan alerts. So you have now various kinds of alerts that are configured, and you can choose when you want to send alerts. So when you make a change on a succession plan or create a succession plan, when do you want to send alerts? And you can identify the criteria. Now let's say there are no alerts sent. You do still see a banner that comes up which says that there has been a change on this candidate's succession plan. The next one is a best fit, a very beneficial feature, I would say, especially when you have a lot of mass pools and a lot of succession plans that you wanted to do for your candidates. So you can actually find out who is best fit for what kind of succession plan, or who can be a best fit for a talent pool. So you can just click on the particular candidate, look at the best fit candidates, look at the plan and look at the best fit candidates and find out who are the best fits. So you may choose based on competencies or whatever skills and qualifications that you've entered. So this is both at the talent pool level and also at the succession plan level. This is a wise feature, I would call, which would help the business to process their, to streamline their process basically. So now what you can see is a count against a particular candidate on how many succession plans they're already there. So just a point to note that this plan does not include the count of the current plan that you're watching from. So in total, it's 6, but so if you see here, it's all other plans, which means it does not count the current plan that you're watching. So what's the benefit is that you can actually see how many people are using the succession plan wisely, and you can get an active count of candidates and the candidate details on different plans. Talent profile strength indicator. Yes, so I think this is one great feature which would help employees. So on the skills and qualifications page, they can now see what is the strength of their profile. So you can also link it with your LinkedIn profile. So if you already have a LinkedIn profile and you have an interface with LinkedIn, you can directly import that particular profile and see what's your strength. So this gives candidates or your employees a right direction to move in and then choose the career path. This is a feature which would help anybody to actually view what is the feedback that they gave to another employee. So they don't have to move on to multiple screens. Under the feedback section, they can see feedback given to others and see what was the feedback given. And is the feedback visible to everybody or not? So this is just an ease when you want to view what is the feedback that you have given for others. Enhanced manager goal assignment actually helps a line manager to go ahead and assign goals. It could be a new goal or the goals of a manager also. So his own goals can also be assigned, and you can do it in bulk. So you can just, as a manager, choose what goals you want to assign and to whom you want to assign. If you want to allow the worker to update any key attributes on a particular goal, you have a checkbox if you want to allow or not allow. So the benefit is that it's more easier now to assign goals. So for a bulk organization, this is a good win. This is a person eligibility check, again, or while creating or editing a goal plan, or while also assigning performance goals. So the earlier part that we saw on streamlining process, again on eligibility check, was for development goals, and this one is the same feature but at the performance goal level. So the concept is the same, the benefit is the same, it's just at different levels. So this is a ease of view where you can see when you look at the feedback requests, what you have given about others. You can also see the statuses, whether it was a requested feedback or a feedback that was given by your own, and it is feedback for whom, when was it completed. So all details in one page. This is a nice feature where now you can also view, as an indirect manager, you can view the requested feedback of your indirect workers. So basically, when you're a global organization and you have people moving on, you can now allow indirect managers to actually navigate and see what is the feedback given against that person before you actually bring that person into your team. So you are well aware of how the person has performed in the other team before you do a transfer to your own team. So that's the benefit that you receive out of this particular feature. This is a added advantage to HR specialists. So the HR team member has the authority to go and delete any feedback requests, which is on any status. So this is more like a better control that they get. But one thing that they can't modify or delete is their own feedback requests. So this is more as a check or a control in place. The next is on mass change current performance task. So from this, you can now change the status from one task to another in a mass, even if the previous task is not completed. So for example, let's say the self-rating of an employee was not completed by few employees, but then you want to move forward in your performance cycle. And so you want to push it for, let's say, manager evaluation now. So you can now on bulk, whether they have completed the previous one or not, you can then push it directly to manager evaluation. So the benefit of this is that you ensure that you finish your performance cycle on time, don't have delays, but then you can also know if there were people who have not completed the activity that they were supposed to do in the intended time frame. The next one is a lock or a control for manager share task. So basically, if you're an organization who wants to do a calibration of the rating before you actually allow the manager to share it with the employee, then you can now enable that. So it's more easier to enable. And once you enable, if the manager tries to share that with an employee, he receives this manager that he cannot share it because it's locked for calibration. So this is more of a process check. The next one is simplified check-in creation process. So it's a lot more easier now to create a check-in document. So as a manager or as an employee, you can just use a template and create, unlike earlier where, you wouldn't be able to create discussions or notes, but now you can do all of them. You just have to create a template and say what's the template and use that. So you now have a general discussion topic. You can add them in your templates and make notes here and have the discussions online. So this would really help during a situation where we're all working in different places at home. So you can avoid all your paperwork and do everything online. Yeah, this is a quick win in the sense that it's an enhancement on the search fields, which enables the manager to quickly search and expand by using various filter options. So whether you want to have all evaluatees or you want to see only the direct reports, so it's more easier to have the results populated on the manager evaluate performance page. So that was on quick wins, which were defaults with no configuration required. Now we move with the one which requires minor configurations, but still a quick win. So this is purging historic information. So basically, you all know we have manage eligibility batch process, which is a concurrent process that you run on a frequent basis. But then now you have an option to say, do you want to purge historic eligibility status? So this is currently all captured and saved, but now you have the option to actually delete them. So the benefit is that you increase the performance of that page. So if you have huge amount of data, I would recommend that you go ahead and enable this, and you can choose a particular date beyond which you don't want to have any historical information. So that's pretty much on defaults. Let's quickly move on to opt-ins. So this is a feature where you are allowed to view and apply open jobs that are related to your career of interest. So this actually is from the career management, where you allow your employee to actually look at jobs that improves or that is in aligning with their career of interest. So you can now see a number. So they must have maintained careers of interest on the career development module, and then now you can see how many jobs are open against that particular interest. So this is a benefit for employees and also for organizations which is looking at a career growth for its employees. So thereby you can have retention of employees, not if you're in alignment with what's their career path. Again, a benefit here in terms of skills and qualifications page. So right now the employees can go ahead and choose to display the information that they want to show on their profile on skills and qualifications page. So they now have better control in terms of what to show or what not to show on their profile page. Enhanced shared goals management. So in this, this is a feature where you have the ability to display more details of shared goals. So you can see what are the shared goals, what are the properties of the shared goals, what is the status of it, and when is the completion. So these are the goals that are shared with me, and you have the you can see whether it's a manager goal or an organization goal. So more information and categorical information that can easily tell you what kind of goals these are. Again, on goal, this is an enhancement where you can see on the goal page, you look at the goal and you can quickly identify whether this was assigned by somebody or shared by somebody. So the status actually defines the need behind that particular goal. So it's more aligned if the manager has aligned this based on the career path or based on the organization's need. And the shared one basically tells that you have shared this goal with somebody else. So it's more of a clear identification. So that's pretty much on talent. I'm going to leave the rest features because of the time frame, but I would strongly recommend you look at those features. The rest just means that we cannot, it cannot be a quick win because of the time frame of 2 weeks that we have for an upgrade. So I'm going to move on. Learning Cloud now. Yeah. So you see, Learning Cloud has been changing very frequently. So this is one other change, which is just more like a rebranding. So the tutorials, it's no more called as tutorials, but then it's called as learning journeys. So just a rename, and sometimes a rename is a must. So it actually clearly defines what is the scope, what is the purpose of that particular process. This is a note for all users where you can find out, you have a clarity on what should be your attachments. So it could be as an admin or as users, what kind of attachments you can do, what is the maximum size, what should be the type, and for it's again under what section. So for managed content, this is the limit. And when you move into self-service user interface, this is the limit. So just have a glance of this. This is more for giving a better clarity on what could be done and what should be the ideal way. Okay, this is an ease for learners. So, you know, not all learners would be an IT person. So navigating on pages could be difficult for them. So this is now more that on the main page, you just have a link which can launch the particular course. So it's more easier for them to understand how to launch a particular course. This one is on assigning learning to my team page, which is an enhancement. So when the manager actually comes onto this my team page, he now has a search. So it's more easier to filter and find out this search details. So that's a very minute enhancement, but could be useful for managers who've got a lot of reportees under them. This is again enhancement in terms of addition of filters that can actually enable learners or people who access that page to actively manage that page and then manage their activities in a better way. So this actually tells you what are the things to finish, what time it has to be finished. So you can just click on view by things to finish or view by all activities or view by completed activities. So that would actually help you to look at this. So you can just filter it from this place. Okay, this is on the offering page. So there are now new set of messages that are there on the offering page. And if there are 5 or fewer offerings available on a course, so you don't have filters, but then if there are more courses and more offerings that you are, then you can filter it. And you also have, suppose you don't have any offerings, then you can just have this message. So again, this kind of restrictions would not be there if it's 5 or few offerings available for a particular course. So what's the business benefit out of it? It's just an enhanced user experience. So they have better clarity on what's there and what's not there. Okay, this is that, when managers assign learning items to team members, okay, they can now see the outcome of the assignment. So basically, when you do assignment, so at the back end, you have some process running which allows, which assigns that particular learning item to an employee. But now you have the view as a manager to see what's the status. Has this been? So these are my selected learners. So this is going to get assigned, and then they can quickly see. I'm sorry, the image is a bit distorted, but that's how we had it on the readiness note. So you can see whether it is assigned successfully or whether there were failures. So they can just get a quick list for whom it was successful and whom it has failed. So just a process improvement here, and shows the outcome of the action that the manager has taken. Okay, this is on learning community enhancement. So people who have communities created in order to manage learning. So these are certain enhancements on that. So when a community is pending for approval, it's ensured that you don't edit that. So when it's on pending approval status and it was never published, so then you receive a notification which says community is pending for approval. But then if it's already published, you can now go ahead and edit that. But then you say, if it's not approved, you still have community update pending approval. So there are 3 sections. If it's on the pending approval status, you cannot edit it. If it's on pending approval status but never published, you receive a message. If it's the community is published but again still pending for approval, you get a different message. So there are more clarity. It ensures what's the right status of the community. On the community manager enhancement, you can also automatically so for example, in the earlier release, what happened was when you had to create community, you also became a member of that community, and so you would receive all the notifications and all that's happening on that particular community. But now you can create a community without actually being a member of it. So this is an advantage where you have to create communities because you're managing the entire learning item, but then you don't want to be a member of it. So it's all the more sensible now that you can go ahead and create a community without being a member of the community. This is recommending admin communities via learning assignments initiatives. So this is more on, again, sharing or recommending communities when you have learn assignments. So for example, you recommend a learning for somebody, you can also recommend a particular community for that particular learning. So the business benefit is that it lets the administrators actually give the right, or rather group people based on their communities, and then organize different kind of learnings for those communities. Now, an enhancement here on the items displayed on the community catalog is that you can see 10 learning items. So it basically gives you more information. So you see 3 dots there. Okay, the picture wasn't clear, so I had placed a dots like this. So you just click on that and you go and see more details. So this is more of an enhancement in terms of reducing the content that you see on a single page, and also enhances the page's performance. This is a new action that is added on the communities page under My Learning Communities. So you can now see Manage Community. So this is more for the learners to actually go ahead and manage the community, so they don't have to navigate to different page. It's under Me, My Learning Communities, and then click on Manage Communities. So it's an enhancement for the learners to actually, it's a UI enhancement for the learners. The next one is on the communities again. Again, more easily to navigate and to distinguish between who's the member, who's a member of that, what's the status of that membership. So you don't have to navigate to users tab or separately. So it's all more in a single tab where you can manage the members. You can see if they are active or not active, and you can actually distinguish between whether they are managers or members. Offline tutorials, this is a quite beneficial one. So this would help you to actually start using that particular tutorial on an offline mode. So when you click on launch, it downloads a particular item for you. So you don't have to have continuous network connectivity to actually continue the course. You can just say launch and you would be able to see these courses offline. So that's on learning analysis, which were without any configurations. This one are quick wins with minor configurations. So this is just a deep link on an offering detail page. So deep links are nothing but a link that would navigate to another page. So you click on copy link and then you navigate to the link page. So deep links basically would help you to navigate very easily, and when they are back, you can come back to the same page. So the navigation between different pages is very easy. They can just click on back and move to the landing page. On the enrollment summary page, a very minor enhancement which shows thumbnails, so it makes your page looks very colorful if you have an image, of course. So just a very quick benefit there on the UI. That brings us to the end of learning analysis. Of course, the rest features are there, but they want to quickly move on to recruiting. Preview attachments. So this is just to get the attention of everybody. This is on Oracle Recruiting Cloud. So the first one is to preview attachments on job applications. So when you actually go to the job application list, you can look at the resumes preview directly. So a file would be open on a different tab. So, and if you want to download it, it would be downloaded as a PDF. So, but then you just have a quick preview and it will be on a different tab, so you can go back to your job applications page easily. There's improvisation on the candidate self-service accessibility. So it's more on the background color and the you have the ability to allow the candidate to change the contrast so that they have a better visibility of the page. So it's more on improving the experience that the candidate can have on the page. So the next one is posting expiration date. Yeah, so this is one very important feature for the internal candidates. So where you can actually on your site, both internal and external, but then you can easily see what's the expiration date of particular posting. So you can now decide and stop. Even for the internal candidates, you can ensure that their job applications are in the system properly at the right time, or if they want to do referrals for somebody, they are submitted on right time. So this is a benefit in terms of having control of your entire hiring process. Save draft. Okay, this is a very wanted feature. So external candidates, they fill in a lot of information. They won't be able to complete everything at one stage, but then they can now drop it off at one place. They can save the data and then do it another time, and they need not start over from the beginning. So if they don't lose any data here, they can just continue from where they dropped off. So this is a very good enhancement, and this provides a wonderful user experience for external candidates. Now, when you have negative scores in your hiring process, so when you want to disqualify candidates based on negative scores, earlier what you had to do was that you had to enter a big negative number so that you can assume what should be the positive cases. So for example, if you have one case which you think if it was answered negative wrong and you have a negative score for it, and that is your very important question which can overrule the other answers, then you need not go ahead and create a huge negative scoring for it so that it compensates with any positive score, but then a single answer to this negative score can become a disqualification reason. So it's a lot more easier in terms of showing scores, showing the right scores as well. Okay, filling job requisitions with large number of active job applications. So what does this mean? That you can now fill job requisitions. So it could be manual or automatic. When you have the required number of candidates, if it's more than 50 in the previous releases, you couldn't fill this job requisition. But now, whether it's 50 or more than 50, you can go ahead and do the job requisition filling. So if the number is less than 50, the action is done immediately. But if it's more than 50, you would receive a message which says the requisition process is filling up, and then you would be notified once it's done. So this is more easier in terms of where you want to do bulk hiring, and so you have a lot of job requisitions to be entered. So this is the maximum possible score. So this is one of the feature. If people had who had attended yesterday's session, this was one of the point which was there in the common features. So what does this feature actually mean is, whenever you make a change to a particular questions score, these are reflected right away directly if the particular questionnaire is not in use. Now, if it's in use, then you would have to overwrite the questionnaire score manually. But then what is the benefit of this feature is that you can achieve at the maximum possible score if the questionnaire is not shared, obviously, immediately. So the moment you change your questions score, it is automatically synced with the maximum possible score wherever this particular question is used. Again, this happens only for questionnaires that are not in use. For questionnaires which are in use, you would have to go ahead and override those maximum possible score. Agency posting expiration period. Again, this is an expiration period that you give to your agents to submit candidates for a job. So you set that expiration date, and then the agents would not be able to see that particular requisition post that expiration time. So this is more a process check to ensure they have right access and don't see everything which is outdated. So that's on quick wins which are defaults with no configuration. Quickly moving on to opt-ins. So now you would be able to create a candidate detail without having emails or a phone number, or sometimes even both. So for example, if you want to create some temporary candidates, so they usually might not have an email or a phone number, and they're just probably laborers who are on a temporary basis. So in such case, as a recruiting manager, you can go ahead and create the candidate without actually having to have all those information. And at the later time, if you have those information, you can go ahead and add. So the benefit is that the system does not restrict you now, so you can at least go over your recruiting process without hassle. Reuse phone numbers. So this is one, I think, a very wanted feature. So what happens is that if we stop using a particular phone number, after a certain amount of time, that phone number is allocated to another person, right? That's the rule of the service provider. So what happens is that now, if you already have a phone number and you had a candidate on ORC, now earlier you weren't allowed to enter the same phone number, but it could be a different candidate, but still, you would have an error saying the phone number is duplicate. But now you don't have that problem. But then there is a check here. So if the phone number is allocated to the actual candidate, they can claim it by just having a check. So they would have a phone verification that would happen, which they can claim that yes, this is their phone number now. So this actually brings a layer of security to ensure that the phone number that they are using is the right one. So it's not somebody else's phone number. And now let's say the same candidate is getting active again. So he was active earlier and now became inactive, and then he's again active on ORC. He can still actually also go ahead and use that phone number. Email addresses and phone number has become mandatory fields in the application flows. Okay, so from the design studio, we can now control this. We can make the emails and phone numbers mandatory. So this would only affect the fields that are in the job application flow. So obviously, on the job application, you would want to ensure that you give one of them at least. So if you don't create any rule, email is the mandatory one by default. Miscellaneous file attachments. This one is from a request for more information flow. So you can actually allow the candidates to add multiple attachments for their different job applications, but you have a size limit for each file, which is like 50 MB. So it's like there's no restriction how many number of files that you can attach. So that's the benefit here. This is a link with Core HR and ORC. So when you're creating a job requisition, or you can create a job requisition when you're creating a new position. So on new position, when you create on HR, when you create a new position, you now also have an option to say that please go ahead and create a job requisition for this. The only control here is that this job application would not be visible until the position is actually approved, and which is the right way in the process as well. So this is more beneficial for people who have Core HR and ORC. So that's a better control there. Okay. Now you can also define collaborator types for requisitions and offers. So what does this collaborator type actually tells you is what is expected of every team member within the hiring team. So what are they expected to do? It clearly identifies what person is performing what kind of role in the particular recruitment cycle. So the hiring manager can just go add, what would be the type. So this is more for ease of use than when you have a large team who's working on requisitions and offers. This is a full one-click support. So this is where if you already have an interface to LinkedIn, you can now quickly find out if you have a prospect for a particular specific job requisition. So this is, again, as I said, is ready to use as long as you have LinkedIn Recruiter System Connect enabled. Otherwise, this won't be a quick win for you. So that brings me to the end of the features that I wanted to talk on. We do have some OTBI enhancements, but I think this is going to take a bit more time, but I would insist that you go ahead and see what are those OTBI enhancements. These won't be quick wins, but then these would help you to do better kind of reporting. So let me quickly move on to the agenda page.
Thank you, Priya. Well, whilst you're getting me the agenda slide up again, thank you very much for that. Obviously, there's lots and lots and lots. We're running slightly behind schedule now, but there's lots obviously in talent to consider. And as Priya said, please do visit the recordings and the slides that we've got on our website to get more information. So just moving on. Earlier we spoke about the 4-step cycle to handling a release, and we've just spent some time analysing some of those features in the talent modules that Priya's kindly taken us through. So once you've finalised your analysis, and after today, you'll no doubt start the planning and rolling out to your teams. If you've already an EVASys customer and want us to be involved in any of these phases, please do reach out to the project manager. And for non-EVASys customers wanting to know a bit more about how we can help with these phases, please do get in touch with us and we can talk you through our services. One of the most exciting areas is the use of our technology that can save up to 70% of testing time. Now, we all know the overhead that creates across the business, but this solution we use runs all the defined processes and captures screenshots as it progresses through before marking them as a successful or failure. We can then focus on the fail processes by reviewing and resolving any config issues, or, if necessary, going back to Oracle and alerting them to any software-related issues that need to be fixed. And the great thing about this is that it isn't just about the time saved, it's about the speed in which the tests are done, giving us more time in that testing phase to make sure that you're ready to actually roll this out. And the other thing to consider is that we can work with you to give you an impact analysis specific to your organization. So whilst we've been taking you through the features and potential impact, these impacts will vary from organization to organization. So we can work with you so that you can further understand how it impacts your organization. So just moving on, just to quickly give you a flavour about our managed services. So our services go beyond supporting the quarterly updates, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about the EvoSys Next Generation Managed Service and what it can do to help you. So for us, EvoSys, we're passionate about driving business value from your Oracle Cloud. And that's why our managed services doesn't focus on keeping the lights on for our customers. It focuses on what can be done to continually improve the outcomes of using Oracle apps in your organization. We very much see our managed services as a partnership to work with you to enhance your Oracle experience and not just keep the lights on. So we ultimately want you to get business value out of this relationship. So our managed services have a number of options to give you the flexibility on the services that we can include. Overarching and complementing our managed services is our value-based analytics that are used to measure and monitor business-defined KPIs that focuses the attention on continuous improvement. And there are many areas where the value-based analytics can be used. So please do contact us to find out more. But just to give you a bit of an insight, oops, sorry, bear with me. There's a slight lag on the webinar here. We have over 140 pre-built KPIs to measure and monitor return on investment, and it very much allows you to change your mindset when thinking about your Oracle Cloud. So you begin to look at proactiveness, business value, and you carry out changes based on fact. The VBAs that we have across the system are separated into 4 main areas. So, which is very much around process optimization, system adoption, information output, and audit and compliance. And you can see here that there's a number of questions that you can start answering by actually using these VBAs specifically in talent. Our next generation managed service is also about empowerment and helping you to drive a lot more self-sufficiency. So some of this is also about leveraging the technology value adds that we use as part of the wider service. And this includes the use of responsive digital assistants, for example, to help with self-sufficiency, as well as robotic process automation that we all know as RPA now in the industry. And these help you to remove some of those repetitive manual tasks that you may have within your cloud setup. So this then actually opens up the ability for a more focused work on innovation and continuous improvement. And then for me, collaboration plays an important part in innovating. So we continually work with you to drive those innovations. And then lastly, it encourages KPI-driven support. Traditional managed services would monitor ticket numbers and length of time taken to close those tickets. But we just don't do this. Our KPI-driven approach focuses on giving our customers a good outcome, which ultimately means reducing the number of tickets that are raised. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight on managed service. Now, apologies, we are running slightly behind schedule. So just as we draw to a close, just a few things that I want to raise before I let you all go. We're going to send out the presentation, the session recordings and test scripts along with a feedback form. Please do complete that feedback form. We want these sessions to be valuable for you. So any feedback you've got, good or bad, would be very welcome. Speak to your project manager or email us at business@evosysglobal.com if you're a non-EvoSys customer to find out more about the services that we can offer around the quarterly updates, as well as if you want to know more about that next generation managed service. And also, please do visit our website. So this is now the 3rd session that we've run in this series. We have workforce management tomorrow, supply chain management also tomorrow, and then finishing off on Friday with payroll. So we'd love to see you at those sessions. And hopefully we've got some time to close this session off with a couple of questions if there are any outstanding. So put it here, sorry, just one question that's left outstanding. We're not currently an EvoSys customer, and our partner doesn't run these sorts of sessions. Could you tell us more about how we can learn about the services that you provide? Yeah, obviously, as I said, the best thing to do, there's 2 things really. There's the visiting our website that gives you a lot of information about the services that we provide. And then please do email us at business@evosysglobal.com, and we'll be more than happy to take you through in a bit more detail about the services that we provide. Is there anything else that to add to that, Priya? No? Okay. So, sorry, Priya.
No, I was just about to say that apart from the other VBA services that you mentioned, as part of Upgrade also, we try and use automation technology in order to do a regression testing, so we avoid manual errors. So that's another added advantage that our customers have.
Excellent, and that's a great way to finish the webinar. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending this webinar, and we hope to see you soon. Stay safe.